How rare will a Satoshi be in the future? This is what you're looking at right now. 21 million broken down into little units of Satoshis. That's how many there will ever be. That's all it's ever going to be. That seems like a large number, right? Well, hopefully after this video, not only will you understand why it's not, but hopefully you understand how rare a Satoshi actually is. What's up, guys? It is Saturday, April 12th, 2025. That is the Bitcoin block height. That is the Bitcoin price today. And more importantly, that, my friends, is how many Satoshis you can get for $1. My goodness, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Satoshi Saturday, the official Satoshi Saturday, episode number 61. I believe I'm the only one that does this. I want to apologize to you guys up front and say I'm sorry because the conditions today are just not good. It's windy all over Las Vegas. I didn't want to record sitting at my desk. I like doing Satoshi Saturdays walking around, especially for this video. I went inside the casino, they're playing music. I went in the back where it's closed off, but there's so many people in there and they're playing music. So I have to improvise, and also, we already know, the show must go on. And just as a reminder, guys, I do live streams Monday through Friday, but I'm gonna do a little change, right? So Monday through Thursday, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna do a live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Nothing's gonna change, and if you're new, what I do is I spin the wheel of Satoshi, and if it lands on your name, you're gonna get 100 Satoshis. Plus I do trivia questions that'll give you between 25 and 100 Satoshis. What I'm gonna do on Friday, I'm gonna have a Fat Zap Friday, and I'm gonna start early. I'm gonna start at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and I'm going to double the amount of Satoshis. So not only am I gonna be live even longer, but I'll give you more chance to win even more of these rare Satoshis. So now that we got that out the way, with that being said, let's get on into it. How rare will a Satoshi, one of these Satoshis, be in the future? Most of you guys that are watching this video, probably 99% of you, know what a Satoshi is, how many Bitcoins are ever gonna be mined. It's gonna be 21 million. And most of you guys that have watched my Satoshi Saturdays already know that there's 100 million Satoshis in every Bitcoin. It's the smallest unit, smallest, most finite unit of money in the world. The most rarest, scarcest units of money ever created by man or otherwise. And if you don't know that, I'll explain to you a little bit later. But if this sounds a little confusing and stuff like that, again, this is episode number 61. Make sure you go back and get caught up on the rest of the videos so you can understand what I'm talking about. As of this recording, there have been 19,850,000, over 19,850,000 Bitcoin that have been mined since January 3rd, 2009. I'll get to that in a second, which is out of the 21 million total that's ever going to be. That's over 94.5% that'll ever be mined. Now, how do we know that? Well, simple. It's built in to the protocol. It's a set system, unlike fiat currency, which we'll get into in a minute. Not only do we know how many Satoshis have been mined in the past, and also is coming up in the future, but we also know how many have been mined today, tomorrow, and the day after that. So let's do a little bit of math, right? You guys get your paper and pen out, or your calculator, or whatever you want to do. And how do we come up with 21 million, 100 million Satoshis, and 21 million Bitcoin and all that? Again, it's already baked into the protocol, and the 21 million is a finite amount of Bitcoins that's come out. Guys, really, there's no such thing as Bitcoin. It's only a bunch of Satoshis, right? 100 million Satoshis in every one Bitcoin. So the full number is 2.1 quadrillion. You times the amount of Bitcoins there are, which is 21 million, times 100 million Satoshis, and that's what the number comes up to, 2.1 quadrillion, just under 2.1 quadrillion. How big is the number quadrillion? It's a big number. I'm not saying it's not, it is. But here's the thing. If you take all the liquidity, the economic value of dollars around the world, they estimated, the low estimate is 900 trillion, which is just under a quadrillion. Because again, it takes 1,000 trillion to make a quadrillion, up to 900 trillion to 1.1 quadrillion. So Satoshis are about double the amount of how many dollars that they're floating around here. But there's a big difference, One is finite and the other is not. Can you take a guess which one? So that 2.1 quadrillion isn't as big as it seems, right? Because again, there's over 8.1 billion people in the world and counting. So all the people in the world, if this money becomes what we think it is going to need this money. And again, there are more people being born every single day. And the people that are going to be using this money in the future, and the people now that don't know, just like the internet, when the internet came out, most people didn't use it, right? They didn't know what it was, but now most everybody uses it. Bitcoin is going to be the same way. Bitcoin to money is like internet for information. It's the same exact thing. It's the second layer of money on top of the internet. And let me ask you a question. Can you live without the internet? I can't. And I'm telling you right now, that's the same way your Bitcoin and Satoshis is going to be in the future. So let's talk about a subject that everybody knows. Basic Economic 101, supply and demand. That's what it's all about. We're going to break that down in this video today. What's the supply of the Satoshis and what is the demand for it? And they go hand in hand. But there's one difference between this asset and anything else. No matter how high the demand goes, we can't change the supply. And that's the first time in history that's ever happened. So let's start with supply. Let's start back from the beginning. Bitcoin or Satoshis were first mined on January 3rd, 2009. That's when it was first mined, all the way up until today. Now, you saw the Bitcoin block height. Every 10 minutes, a block comes out, roughly every 10 minutes. And 840-something thousand and 800-something thousand blocks later, we're at that today, starting from January 3rd, 2009. And that's where the supply started. And as you can see here, all the blocks are made up of epochs. There's 33 epochs in total. And an epoch is made up of 210,000 blocks, right? That's what it is. Every 210,000 blocks, which is about 4 years, roughly on the human calendar scale. And again, the blocks come out every 10 minutes or so. You take that, times it by 210,000, and that's how many blocks come out about roughly every 4 years. And that first epoch started, like I said, January 3rd, 2009, and ended in 2012, spitting out 50 Bitcoin or 5 billion Satoshis every 10 minutes for a total of 10.5 Bitcoin. So what does that mean? That means half of the supply in epoch number 1 out of 33 mined, half of the supply. So when we make it to epoch 33, because we're in epoch 5, and I'll get into that in a second, when we finally make it to the last epoch and the last Bitcoin is mined, it's going to be roughly the year 2140. So let's do the math. It started January 3rd, 2009, and it ends the year 2140, which makes it about 131 years. Now, most of us may be dead then. Who knows? I plan on living a long time. But this is for the long term. And right now, us being in epoch 5 at 86,000 a coin and getting over 1,100 Satoshis for $1, what do you think it'll be in epoch 12, 15, 16? Will it be more or less? You do the math. So going back to supply and demand, when these Satoshis or Bitcoins were first mined, the first almost a year and a half, they were worthless, right? Because there were so many Bitcoins and Satoshis in the market and there was no demand for it. So there's no price on it. As you can see, the price is 80-something thousand now, 16 plus years later. But back then it wasn't nothing until we got our first price point in May of 2010 when Laszlo decided he wanted a pizza.
How'd you get this idea to trade Bitcoin for pizza?
I just honestly thought it would be really cool if I could say, hey, I just traded this, open source internet money for a real world good. And I thought, what better thing than food? Food is a basic necessity. And, pizza, every geek understands pizza.
So how did you actually buy a pizza?
I just posted on the forum. I said, if anybody's interested, I'm offering 10,000 Bitcoins in exchange for some pizza. And somebody there said, hey, I'll take you up on that offer. So I sent him the 10,000 Bitcoin. I said, okay, here it is. I'm waiting for my pizza. And, he phoned it in. He paid with his credit card, and the pizza showed up at my door.
Crazy, right? And after that happened, we started getting some prices for it. But that set the market off. So again, we're in epoch number 5 right now. And in this epoch, we're only getting 3.125 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, which is 300,125,000 Satoshis to be exact, every 10 minutes, which is a lot less than the first time. Remember, the first epoch was 50 Bitcoin, which is 5 billion, versus what the number is now. Here's why. We have what's called a Bitcoin halving in between every epoch, right? So every time 210,000 blocks happen, the supply issuance cuts in half. For instance, the first epoch, we're at 50 every 10 minutes. Then we went to 25, then 12 and a half, then 6.25, and now we're at 3.125. If you want to learn more about the Bitcoin halving, I made a video specifically on that. Here it is. Check that out and you'll learn all about it. So again, the supply at the time in the beginning was very, very high and the demand was super low, again, until he bought that pizza and it started up the market and everything happened. But let's get into that. Let's get into the supply portion and the demand portion. Let's first start off with the supply and how the supply is not as big as you think it is. And we're going to talk about coins that'll never be in the supply and we'll never see them again. All right, let's talk about lost coins. This is a big one. In the beginning, when Bitcoin first started, people, again, because the supply was crazy and nobody really cared about it, or the price was really low, people estimate, depends on who you listen to, the estimates of lost coins that'll never be back again are between 1.57 million and 6 million coins that'll be completely lost out of this system forever. Now that's crazy, right? And why is that? Because people lose their hard drives, they lose their 12-word passcodes and things like that. They'll never get it back.
In 2013, a British man accidentally threw away a hard drive. It contained 7,500 Bitcoin. Fast forward to today, the crypto inside that hard drive is worth more than $350 million. His name is James Howells. He's an IT worker from Wales. Over the past 8 years, he's been on a mission to find that hard drive by digging through his local dump.
And also in the future, people that are going to be into Bitcoin later on, people may die with their passcode, lose their hardware, lose their words and things like that in the future. They're saying that a small percentage, maybe 1, 2, 3%, or even smaller than that, every single year coins are going to be lost. Again, this is completely different than the fiat system. Fiat prints money and Satoshis are rare, and sometimes in a small amount, they're lost and we'll never see them again.
Did you know there's a guy who's called Stephen Thomas? He has $200 million worth of Bitcoin in a digital wallet, but he forgot his password. So now he has only 2 attempts left out of 10 to guess the right password. What would you do if you have $200 million worth of Bitcoin and you forgot the password?
So when I talk about lost coins, I like to use the number 3.7. There's a company called Coinalysis. It's like coin analysis without the N. And during their analysis and where they broke it down, they say it's 3.7 million lost. So again, you take 21 million or 19.8 million, whatever you want to do, and minus 3.7, those are coins that are going to be lost forever, never coming back. What makes these Satoshis and your Satoshis in your hardware wallet even more rare. Now let's talk about Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator. When he first started, he was mining by himself. He had a couple people with him, and what a sacrifice that guy made. But I'll make a video about that. He was mining 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes or so, and he got up to about, the estimates say 900,000 to 1.1 million of coins that he has in his wallet that they say that'll never move because it hasn't moved since the beginning. Because remember, 10.5 million were front loaded from the beginning.
The founder of Bitcoin, Satoshi's Wealth, Satoshi Nakamoto, believes he owns about 1 million Bitcoins. However, this asset has never been spent yet, and it is not under the control of Nakamoto.
So let's take the middle number of 900,000 to 1.1 million, which is 1 million. We take 3.7 million plus 1 million. That's 4.7 million coins that are out of the system. Again, making your Satoshis even more rare and the total supply very rare. Now this category right here are coins likely not to move. They're not going to be like the lost coins or Satoshi coins that'll never move, but these are coins that are in cold storage or put away that individuals, companies and stuff have bought, that a large percent of them are not going to move for a while, including the ones that we have. Individuals like us, hodlers, hold on for dear life people that hold their Bitcoin for a very, very long time. I don't plan to sell mine for a long time. So with that said, they estimate anywhere between 12 and 15 million out of all these coins are held by people like us. So what does that mean? I don't plan on selling mine anytime soon, and I'm pretty sure you don't. Now again, everybody has their price and they'll sell in the future, but I think the large percentage of that, 12 to 15 million, out of only 19.8, by the way, that have been mined, aren't gonna move for a while. Now, while you're watching this video, you can look these numbers up, but there are public companies, and a lot of public companies hold quite a bit of Bitcoin. The artist formerly known as MicroStrategy, they own over 528,000 Bitcoin, I believe. And you already know Michael Saylor's the CEO, and you already know. And as far as Michael Saylor's concerned, when it comes to Bitcoin, there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.
And then you got other major public companies. You got companies like Marathon that are mining companies and stuff like that. They own a lot of Bitcoin, man. And then when you look at the total, that adds up to over 690,000 Bitcoin total for public companies. That's 690,000 out of a finite number. Again, I'm not a mathematician, but do the math. Then you have several private companies that own a bunch of Bitcoin. Block.one, they own several, I think 140,000, something like that. Tether, the company Tether, they own a bunch. And you take all those private companies, they own over 327,000 Bitcoin. I hope you guys are using your calculator. Then you got the decentralized companies, the DeFi, aka the you-know-what coiners. What is it? The Rat Bitcoin own a bunch of them. Other, S-Coin companies own some. And that comes up to over 200,000 Bitcoin. Again, keep your calculator going. Then you got the big ETFs, the big companies. I know they sell and buy every day, but net total, BlackRock, the big boys, got over 571,000 Bitcoin for its customers on its own. Fidelity, BlackRock, them boys got over 200,000 Bitcoins, ARK 21, and the rest of them. If you add up all the Bitcoins that are held by the ETFs, it adds up to over 1.1 million. Again, do the math. And then you got nation states, governments. United States of America has estimated on the low end 198,000 Bitcoins up to 213,000, 212,000 Bitcoin. China has about 190,000. The UK has 61,000. Smaller countries have some too. El Salvador's got over 6,000. You add all those up, and that's a total of 520,000 Bitcoin nations, countries own. Now again, I don't know if you've been doing the math. We know we started off at 19.8 or 21 million, whatever. But if you minus, we're talking about supply now. If you minus the lost coins, Satoshi's coins that are not moving, all the private companies, all the individuals, all the ones I just listed below, again, the number's getting smaller and smaller. And I said this once, and I'll say it 1,000 times. Last time I checked, but I'm not a mathematician. Now that's the supply side of the equation. Let's talk about the demand. These names are going to be awfully familiar. All the countries that have Bitcoin now, do you think they're going to buy more? Yes. So they're going to demand more. It's going to be a global arm race between these countries. You're going to have US, you're going to have states, small sovereignties in different countries around the world. You're going to have states that want it in the US. You're going to have different counties, cities, towns, townships. Again, all these little small entities around the world. You're going to have big businesses, more public companies, more private companies, more people like us. And the last time I checked, every single person that I know, like the great George says, when the green light comes on, meaning you understand what Bitcoin is and a person actually has it in cold storage. The last time I checked, those people aren't going to sell. And most of these nation states, and as the adoption gets bigger and bigger because of the education and people understanding the problem, let's just say a lot of these coins in the future aren't going to be moving. So let's focus on people like us, the future human beings, right? People like us now and people in the future. Human beings are living a lot longer than what they were before, yes? Technology is getting better and better, and the rate of people living versus dying is getting bigger and bigger. The population at 8.1 billion is a lot bigger than it was 10 years ago. Why? People are living longer. And in the future, when technology gets better and better, people are going to live longer. And you know what's going to happen when more and more people start adopting Bitcoin and Satoshis and using that as their money or their medium of exchange? Not only will they live longer because they want to, because again, they want to live as long as they can, but they'll also understand what the fiat food is and the fiat health system and the pills and all this other stuff. They'll be able to afford and buy not fiat garbage, cheap food, but they'll be able to buy Satoshi food, Bitcoin food, real food. And these people in the future will not be living to eat, they'll be eating to live. And while this is happening, the adoption is going to get faster and faster. Why? Because the more and more people that have come in at a faster rate, it's going to compound. People are going to be understanding the broken money system. Because again, many people don't understand the problem. And when education comes out and the mainstream media's lies and the school system and the indoctrination and all the lies we've been told all of our lives, when these people are taught by people like us and future Bitcoiners and stuff like that, adoption is going to start going crazy, guys. And it's going to snowball very, very fast. That's why we have a saying in Bitcoin, gradually, then suddenly. So as far as adoption as a global monetary asset is concerned, because there's 5 steps to money in my personal opinion, which starts at a collectible, store of value, medium of exchange when you can pass it back and forth for goods and services, a unit of account, and a global world currency or global asset, a global world asset. I think we're on step number 2, getting ready to be on step number 3. But again, as this fire hose gets turned on higher and higher and the adoption comes in, it's going to be faster and faster. I'm telling you guys right now, we're going to go from stage 2 to 4 to 5 a lot quicker than you think. Now, we talked about the supply and demand. That's what it's all about. And as you can see, the supply is dwindling fast and the supply is not as big as we thought it is. And the demand is going up way faster at a higher rate than the supply. But here's the kicker. Even though the supply is going down and the rate of supply is going down and the demand is going up, here's the kicker. Any other asset that's ever existed, if the demand goes up, the supply can go up. They can always create more or make more or find more or whatever they need to do. But in this case, the first time in human history, they can't do that. They can't. because it's a fixed supply. I don't care if it's gold, I don't care if it's stocks, I don't care if it's water, I don't care if it's any kind of commodity, any type of good or service, it doesn't matter. It can be created more. This is why they say everything divided by 21 million, because everything in the world would be divided by this finite amount. And again, it's not 21 million as we could see, because the supply is a lot lower than we thought. And the difference between this money, this hard money, and fiat is simple. Like I said, you can't create any more of this. You can't make any more of this. Fiat currency, no matter what it is, US dollar or whatever, they can print more anytime they want. So if somebody needs something, or the government needs to bail out banks or bail out the country because of some kind of you-know-what, they can just print a bunch of dollars and give people stimmies. They can't do that with Bitcoin because there's not enough. They can't print it. So Satoshis and fiat are the exact opposite. And this is what people need to understand. This is a money. There's never been a money like this. Yeah, gold was good for 5,000 years in an analog situation. But again, if the demand goes up, we can find gold anywhere. We can find gold in different caverns. We can find it in space, in meteors. We can find it in the oceans. Believe me, if the demand goes up, the supply will go up with it. Unlike any other asset, you cannot make any more of Satoshis. When you guys look at that Bitcoin chart, you see the price at $85,000. And most people think, oh man, I can't afford that. But again, it's not about the Bitcoin, it's about the Satoshis. And yes, the price is $85,000, but today you can get over 1,100 Satoshis for $1. 1,100 of the hardest units in the world that man has ever seen for dollars that are just printed out of thin air. And people don't understand the value, but you do. And that's the difference. And also when we're talking about that supply part, when we're just talking about, we got to talk about the demand, meaning how many people actually have Bitcoin, right? What percentage of human beings, because we know, again, individuals own 12 to 15%, but what percentage of human beings on the planet have that? Because again, a lot of whales and people like us are hoarding a whole bunch, because according to bitcoinsperperson.com, your fair share is 200 and something thousand Satoshis. Again, it's a lot less than that because of the supply issues I mentioned before and demand being way, way higher. But some estimates say it's up to 5% of human beings have it. But again, how many truly understand it? But some estimates at the low end or the high end is less than 1% that actually own it. So no matter what it is, the demand is going to keep going up. And when the demand keeps going up and more energy and more dollars or energy starts going into these Bitcoins slash Satoshis, what's going to happen to the price? The price is going to go up. And if the Bitcoin price goes up, that means it's going to take more of your dollars to buy the same amount of Satoshis. And like I said at the beginning of this video, today is April 12th, 2025. A few years back, you can get 10,000 Satoshis for $1. 50,000 Satoshis for $1 before that, right? But that time is gone. But the future is on its way and the present is now. They call it a present because it is a present. And today, this is going to be the best price you can get today if you're just starting. They always say the best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time to start is now. And today, you can get 1,100 Satoshis, over 1,100 Satoshis for $1, for $1. When Bitcoin's price goes to $1 million per coin, you're only going to be able to get 100 Satoshis for $1. 250,000 a coin, you can only get 400 Satoshis. You can get over 1,100 today. That's why I say you need to act today and act like there's no tomorrow when it comes to these Satoshis. You need to get as many as you can as humanly possible. Get to your 1 million Satoshis, because I'm telling you, if you get to 1 million Satoshis, you'll be more rare than a fiat millionaire. I'm telling you, I know that sounds crazy, but since you know that, you need to put all the energy in you can into studying this thing. It's all about the studying. If you want to start today, what would I suggest? How much you put in? This is what I would do. If you don't have anything into Bitcoin at all or any Satoshis and you don't know anything, I would take 1% of my investment portfolio, not your whole net worth, just the 1% of your investment portfolio or plus your savings or whatever. Put 1% into Satoshis. Now, I don't know how many Satoshis you'll get for that, only you do. But also you can just get 1 million Satoshis and then learn on the back end and put it away the right way. And keep watching these videos and I'll show you how to do that. Whichever number is bigger or you feel more comfortable with. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you don't understand what it is. Just get as many as you can that you feel comfortable with, put them away, and make sure you secure your family's future. Because it's all up to you. You were born at this time, on this timeline, and you're your age today, and you're trading your time for money. Money, but not real money. It's fake money. With the inflation going crazy, the debt is out of control, and the lies that they tell us, we got to break out of this system. And I'm telling you right now, there's only one way to do that, guys. Only one way. And because of what your efforts are today, your sacrifices are today, your family is going to be building statues of you in the future. I'm telling you that. So since you know that, and there's no better day or time than now or today, do you and your family a favor and heed these words, guys. Stack Satoshis today. Today, guys. So you and your family don't have to work for those exact same Satoshis tomorrow. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.